When was the last time you actually enjoyed connecting to a VPN? Probably never, right? You click the button, wait for it to connect, hope it doesn't time out, and then suddenly you're on the corporate network with access to everything. That's the problem right there. 20 years ago, VPNs made perfect sense. Everyone worked in the same building, and all the applications lived on servers in that building. You built a tunnel from your home computer into the office, and boom, you were basically sitting at your desk. The building protected you, the firewall protected you, and the network itself was your security. But look at how we work today. Your sales team connects from coffee shop Wi-Fi, your developers log in from home offices, and your contractors jump on from hotel lobbies in different time zones. The whole idea of connecting to the building doesn't exist anymore because the building itself is gone. Here's what most people don't realize about traditional VPNs. They give you too much access. Once you're inside that tunnel, you can reach almost anything on the network. File shares, internal apps, databases, servers you didn't even know existed. It's like handing someone a key to the entire office building when all they needed was access to one room. And they're a nightmare to maintain. Help desk tickets for VPN issues are some of the most common complaints IT teams deal with. The connection drops, the client won't install, the certificate expires, or the user forgets their credentials. It's constant low-grade friction that eats up hours every week. But the real issue goes deeper than that. VPNs trust the network, not the user. They check your credentials at the door and then assume everything is fine for the rest of the session. That's the opposite of what modern security needs. We need to verify every single request, not just the first one. So if the old model is broken, what replaces it? The shift from network trust to identity trust. Think about how security used to work. It was all about walls and moats. You built a strong perimeter around your office, put a firewall at the entrance, and assumed everything inside was safe. That worked when everyone worked inside those walls, but the building doesn't exist anymore. Your employees are scattered across the country, your applications live in the cloud, and your data moves between dozens of services every day. There is no single perimeter to defend, so what do you protect instead? The answer is identity. The new model is simple. Who you are matters more than where you connect from. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in the corporate office or a coffee shop in Bangkok. What matters is that you are who you say you are, your device is healthy, and your access level matches what you need to do. This is the core of zero trust. You've probably heard that phrase thrown around a lot. Here's what it actually means in practice. Never trust, always verify every single request. Not just when you log in, but every time you open a file, access an application, or click a link. The system checks your identity, your device, your location, and your risk level before allowing anything. Microsoft's approach uses Entra ID as the central identity plane. Think of it as the brain that controls access everywhere. It knows who you are, what devices you're using, what apps you're allowed to access, and what your current risk level looks like. It makes decisions in real time based on all of that information. This is a major shift. Instead of protecting a network, you're protecting identities. Instead of building walls, you're building policies. And instead of trusting a connection, you're verifying every request. And this is exactly where Entra Internet Access enters the picture. What is Entra Internet Access? The simple definition. So what exactly is Microsoft Entra Internet Access? Here's the simplest way to think about it. It's a cloud-based secure web gateway. In plain English, that means it's a smart checkpoint for all your internet traffic. Every time you open a website, log into a SaaS app like Salesforce, or access Microsoft 365, your traffic passes through this checkpoint. And at that checkpoint, it gets inspected, filtered, and authorized based on who you are and what you're allowed to do. Think of it like the security guard at the front desk of a modern office building. But this guard doesn't just check a badge. They check three things: your identity, the device you're using, and your current risk level. If everything lines up, you're in. If something looks off, you're blocked right there. Now, Entra Internet Access is one half of a bigger platform called Microsoft Global Secure Access. The other half is Entra Private Access, which handles connections to old on-premises servers and legacy apps. So Global Secure Access is the umbrella, and Internet Access and Private Access are the two services underneath it. Here's the thing. Most people think a VPN is all you need for remote access. It isn't. The key difference from a traditional VPN is where the real power lies. A VPN looks at your IP address and says, "You're connecting from outside the building, so I'll let you into the network." Once you're inside, you can roam freely. Entra Internet Access looks at you and says, "I know who you are, I know what device you're on, I know what you're allowed to access, and I'm going to check every single request you make." That's a different approach. The VPN trusts the tunnel. Entra Internet Access trusts the identity. And because this runs on Microsoft's private network, 70 regions, over 190 edge locations worldwide, the performance is fast. Your traffic doesn't bounce around the public internet. It travels through Microsoft's backbone, giving you better speed and better security at the same time. That's the magic of it. Let's break down how it actually works. How it works, the three traffic profiles. Entra Internet Access handles traffic through what Microsoft calls traffic forwarding profiles. Think of these like dedicated lanes on a highway. Each lane handles a different type of traffic, and each one has its own rules and licensing. The first lane is the Microsoft traffic profile. This covers all traffic to Microsoft 365 services. That means Exchange Online for email, Teams for meetings, SharePoint for documents, and OneDrive for file storage. And here's the good news. This profile is included for free with any Entra ID P1 license. If you have Microsoft 365 Business Premium, you already have it. No extra cost, no additional license needed. The second lane is the Internet Access profile. This takes care of everything else. General web browsing, SaaS apps like Salesforce or Slack, any website your users visit. This one does require an add-on license. It's about $4 to $5 per user per month, or it's included in the broader Entra suite if you go that route. The third lane is the private access profile. This handles traffic to your on-premises servers and legacy apps. Think file shares, internal databases, custom line of business apps that haven't moved to the cloud yet. This also needs an add-on license, and it's the profile that truly replaces the need for a traditional VPN. So how does it actually work? Through a small client installed on each device. It's a lightweight piece of software that runs quietly in the background. When a user signs into their device, the client automatically connects to Microsoft's secure network. No complex VPN configurations to set up, no hardware to maintain, no help desk tickets for expired certificates or broken tunnel settings. The client intercepts traffic based on the profiles you've configured. If someone opens Outlook, the Microsoft traffic profile kicks in. If they visit a website, the Internet Access profile takes over. If they need a file share on an old server, the private access profile handles it. And all of this happens automatically, without the user ever thinking about it. But here's what I want you to understand. The real power isn't the tunnel itself. It's what you can do with it. And that starts with a feature that changes everything. The killer feature, Conditional Access integration. Let's talk about conditional access. You've probably heard that term. It's the policy engine inside Entra ID that lets you write if-then rules. If a user tries to access a sensitive app, require MFA. If they log in from an unusual location, block access. Simple, right? But here's the thing. Conditional access traditionally only worked for cloud apps like SharePoint or Exchange Online. It couldn't protect general internet traffic. Your users could visit any website, download any file, or connect to any SaaS app without those policies applying. Entra Internet Access changes that completely. Now you can apply conditional access policies to all internet traffic, not just Microsoft Cloud apps. And that opens up some powerful scenarios. Let me give you a concrete example. Create a policy that says the global secure access client must be connected before anyone can access Microsoft 365. If a user tries to check email without the client running, they get blocked. Simple as that. Think of the global secure access client like a security badge. Without it, you can't enter the building. Why does this matter? Because it stops a specific type of attack that's becoming more common, the adversary in the middle attack. Here's how it works. An attacker sends a phishing email with a link to a fake login page. The page looks exactly like Microsoft's sign-in screen. The user types their username and password, completes MFA, and the attacker captures the session token. They can now access that user's account from anywhere in the world without needing the password or MFA again. But if you have a conditional access policy requiring the global secure access client, that stolen token is useless. The attacker's device doesn't have the client installed. It's not connected to Microsoft's secure network. So even with a valid token, the policy blocks them. The attack fails. This is the compliant network check. It's a simple policy with a huge impact. One conditional access policy can shut down an entire category of attacks. If you're on Business Premium, this capability is already included at no extra cost. You can also get more creative, require a compliant device in addition to the client connection, block access from non-compliant devices even with valid credentials, or require MFA for specific high-risk internet destinations. The policy engine stays the same. It just applies to a much wider range of traffic. Web filtering and threat protection. Now let's look at the next piece, web filtering and threat protection. Conditional access integration is powerful, but it's only one part of the picture. Entra Internet Access also gives you the kind of web filtering and threat protection that used to require dedicated hardware in your server room. Let's start with web content filtering. You can block entire categories like gambling, social media, adult content, hacking forums, and AI tools. And you can create different policies for different teams, for instance, blocking social media for finance while allowing it for marketing, or letting developers access technical forums while the sales team cannot. It's granular, flexible, and managed from the same portal. You can also block or allow specific fully qualified domain names. Want to block Dropbox because you use OneDrive? Done. Want to allow Facebook only for the social media team? Easy. The rules support wildcards too, so you can block entire domains with a single entry. Then there's TLS inspection. This is a big one. Most internet traffic today is encrypted, good for privacy, but threats can hide inside those encrypted connections. Think of it like a security checkpoint that inspects every package before it enters your building. TLS inspection decrypts the traffic, inspects it for threats, and re-encrypts it before reaching the destination. It catches malware, phishing attempts, and data exfiltration that would otherwise sail right past your defenses. Here's another feature, tenant restrictions. Think of it as a digital fence that keeps your data where it belongs. This prevents your users from signing into other Microsoft 365 tenants using your corporate credentials. It's a data loss prevention measure that stops users from accidentally or intentionally sharing company data with external organizations. And here's something growing in importance: shadow AI discovery. Your employees are probably using AI tools at work: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and dozens of others. Some usage is sanctioned, some isn't. Entra Internet Access can show you exactly which AI tools your employees are using and let you block the ones you don't want. It gives you visibility and control over a category of applications growing faster than most IT teams can keep up with. One important point: all of this happens at the machine level, not the browser level. It doesn't matter if your users are in Chrome, Edge, Firefox, or some obscure browser. It doesn't matter if they're using a desktop application that makes web calls. The filtering and inspection happens in the client at the network level before the traffic reaches the application. No user can bypass it, and no browser can hide from it. That's a much more reliable approach than browser extensions or proxy configurations. So you've got web filtering, TLS inspection, tenant restrictions, and AI discovery, all delivered through a single client, managed from a single portal, and integrated with the identity platform you're already using. That's a lot of capability packed into one service. Licensing and getting started. All right, let's get into the practical side of things. What does this actually cost, and how do you get started? Here's the good news for many of you. You might already have access to the most important piece: the Microsoft Traffic Profile, the one that protects your Exchange, Teams, and SharePoint traffic, is included with any Entra ID P1 license. So if you're on Microsoft 365 Business Premium, you already have it with no extra cost and no additional purchase needed. That single profile handles 3 critical tasks for you: a compliant network check that stops token theft attacks, universal tenant restrictions, and direct connectivity through Microsoft's private backbone. That's the magic of it. Now, the full Internet Access profile, which adds web filtering, TLS inspection, and AI discovery, does require an add-on license. Expect to pay around $4 to $5 per user per month as a standalone add-on, or it's included in the broader Entra suite, which bundles Internet Access, private access, and additional Entra ID features into one package. If you plan to use both Internet Access and private access, the suite is usually the better deal. One more thing to keep in mind: the remote network connectivity feature for branch offices requires a minimum of 50 combined licenses. So if you're a smaller organization, be aware of that requirement. Setting it up is straightforward. It's really that simple. You start by activating the service in the Entra Admin Center under Global Secure Access. Then enable the traffic forwarding profiles you want: Microsoft, Internet, or private. Assign them to users or groups. Then install the Global Secure Access client on your devices. The client can be pushed out through Intune, Group Policy, or any standard deployment tool, and once installed, it connects automatically when the user signs in. Once the client is rolling, you can start creating conditional access policies. The simplest starting point is a policy that requires the Global Secure Access client for all cloud app access. That single policy blocks token theft attacks and gives you immediate value. As you get more comfortable, you can layer on web filtering policies, TLS inspection, and more granular controls. So that's the system. Entra Internet Access replaces the clunky VPN with something fundamentally smarter: identity-driven security that works wherever your employees are. The free Microsoft traffic protection is a no-brainer for anyone on Business Premium. Start with one conditional access policy requiring the client as a starting point, then explore web filtering when you're ready. Subscribe for more plain English breakdowns and drop a comment if this helped. Thanks for listening.